Awesome. So welcome. This will be the final Kubernetes demo of this year. So let's start with some blockers. So cool. So the first one we've got is around structured logging, unified structured logging.
So for this one, distribution is making some progress. They continue the work on the GitLab web service container. They are not going to touch the workhorse container just yet. They are aware of our feedback that we've provided for them, but it has not yet been implemented. I don't know where that falls. I'm trying to figure out where, because we've got that feedback on one of an issue that's outside of the scope to the actual work that we're trying to get completed. So um, I asked the question if they have a tracker, an issue tracking specifically for that feedback, because it's related to how the GitLab Logger works versus just implementing GitLab Logger. I haven't heard back from them yet, but it is progressing. They've got a merge request that's ready for review that contains the enablement and disablement of GitLab Logger that would allow us to test um, enabling this, watching the logs, making sure they are up to the standards that we need prior to us enabling in production. At this moment in time, I evaluated the merge request and it, it works as desired, but we wouldn't want to enable it in production yet. So,
and that's based on wanting the additional stuff or based on just what you've seen so far? So just not a complete.
yeah, there's some improvements that we need to have implemented inside of the GitLab Logger project. Otherwise, we're duplicating logs, and the messages field currently, uh, it will sometimes get populated with string data as well as JSON object data, and we already know that's going to wreak havoc. So we're still blocked on being able to progress forward with future migrations until at least they get the upgrade or modification to GitLab Logger taken care of.
And the future migrations, did we say this was WebSockets as well as the API work or just the API work?
Just API work and the web fleet. For WebSockets, I think we talked, I can't remember what we decided in the last meeting, but I think we're fine that we could continue work with WebSockets without the logging work, but we still need the Nginx upgrade preferred. Like we really need to finish that Nginx upgrade and the Helm 3 upgrade first.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Perfect. Okay. Cool. Is there anything else anyone wants to talk about on that structured logging?
I would like to know more of what Marin is asking for us in point 2. I'm not sure how to provide additional feedback, I guess.
Do you mean point 2 on the agenda, this one?
The one you highlighted, yeah.
Yeah. That I think was the discussion ahead of your comment. Does that make sense? I know it's not there. I think the comment you added to reiterate our request. I thought that was the comment that he made to.
Maybe I'll ask Marin outside of this meeting since he's not here right now.
Yeah, we can follow up on that one.
Because I'm not sure.
Okay, makes sense. Cool. Okay. Next up, labels for infrastructure.
So I'm attempting to work on upgrading our Helm chart to add the labels that are necessary to our horizontal pod autoscalers and services and deployments. I received some initial feedback from an initial review. So it's just a work in progress. I got sidetracked because I'm trying to help Jarv with the Helm 3 upgrade. So I'm trying.
Awesome. And
Scott,
yeah, go ahead, Andrew.
sorry to interrupt. Skobek, Craig Furman is trying to instrument Thanos in the same way that we've done everything else. And Thanos has got some other objects like stateful sets. And so we had a very productive call this morning where we were like, how are we going to do this? And we sort of settled on something. So it's probably just worth you being aware that he might make some changes. So we might send some merge requests out. So probably worth him pinging you on that as well. I'll let him know. I don't know what timeframes and if he's off or anything like that, but we were just kind of, at the moment we've got the cube deployments in the metrics catalog. And then now we'll have basically stateful sets in there as well. So he's going to do some work on that. So just to be aware of it.
Cool. Okay.
And that will apply to Jaeger as well, I assume.
Does Jaeger have stateful sets?
No, it's just a daemon set
no.
as far as I know.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just a daemon set. Okay.
I don't know what monitoring we've got on the daemon. I know there is. I've seen there's definitely monitoring on the daemon set, but so yeah. Not at a Kubernetes level, but at the agent level.
And does this give you everything you need, Andrew, to finish this stuff?
I honestly haven't had a chance to look at it.
He's tentatively blocked until we get the Helm chart upgrade passed and working and all that. So it'll be a while before Andrew really gets back into gear on this one, I think.
Yeah, and it'll probably be changed by then for the other.
Yeah, like we know what labels we need to add. It's just a matter of adding those labels to the various pieces of our chart, which is currently missing.
And presumably that's happening in a very generic way. So the next time we want to add a different label, it'll be
that's my attempt.
Technically
yeah.
easier. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, sounds good. Do you need any help, Skarbek, with that upgrading the Helm chart?
I just need time. That's really what it boils down to.
Cool. Okay, sounds good. And then Pages is still ongoing. So I haven't heard. Cool. So it's got a due date of January. So hopefully not too far away. Awesome. Are there any new blockers? No. Okay, so
Andrew, there's a discussion section if you scroll down a little bit more.
I'm in the wrong place. Do this every time. Thank you.
Jarv, why don't you go ahead, man?
Yeah, sure. So just to kind of let everyone know, we've switched from using the master branch of charts to using the GitLab comp branch. And the reason for this is because the Nginx upgrade was merged to master and we're not quite ready for it. And we had a charts change that we needed to take last night that I merged this morning after switching us from master to the GitLab comp branch. So we're going to be working from that branch for now until we finish the Helm 3 upgrade, and then we can also upgrade the Nginx ingress controller. I think this is the right thing to do. The only thing the only alternative would be to revert the Nginx ingress controller work that was merged to master until we're ready for it, but that doesn't seem fair because maybe other people want to take it. So I think we're okay in this state.
does it mean, do we need to track anything? Like, do we need to make sure we're picking up any other changes or anything like that as well?
No, I don't think so. I think the only thing to be aware of is that, like, if there is a charts change that we need to merge it into the GitLab com branch or cherry pick it into the GitLab com branch because we can't work off of master right now.
Cool. Okay, that sounds. How is the Helm 3 upgrade going?
The Helm 3 upgrade is, asymptotically approaching completion, I would say. Like it feels like we made a lot of progress, but we are making smaller increments of progress and not quite getting to the finish line. Yesterday was very productive. We fixed a bunch of issues. Currently we're blocked on GitLab Helm files. It looks like the GitLab deployment is good. There's one issue there there's one potential issue that which requires us to change a flag or change an option when we run Helm for just the Helm 3 stuff. So we're gonna probably have to fix that. But I think in general, GitLab is good. GitLab Helm files involves upgrading the Prometheus operator chart, which was deprecated. So we had to go through many chart upgrades. Where we are now with that is we ran into a bug with the latest version of Helm that we have that isn't fixed yet. So I just reverted, right before I hopped on the call, I reverted that version to an earlier version of Helm 3, which doesn't have the bug and linked to the GitHub issue. And now we'll see where we are after that. I'm really, really hoping that we can wrap up pre-prod today, which will position us to move to staging January 1st. But we're not going to, I don't really see us doing staging next week because of the release and because we need to block all deployments while we do the Helm upgrade.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yep.
Is January 1st seriously outside of changelog?
I mean, January, whenever you start working,
Fourth.
like I guess
Just
fourth, I guess,
checking.
is like, I don't know if that falls on a, yeah. I mean, I'm not doing anything for New Year's because we have like a 9 p.m. curfew, so I don't even know what we'll do. We'll probably go to bed early for New Year's. Like there's no way we can stay up late. And there's no fireworks.
It's the same everywhere.
Yeah.
Yes, the Germans are all very disappointed that there's no fireworks.
But the puppies are happy.
Cool. Okay, sounds good. Yeah, let's work out a schedule for the actual where we can do the upgrade around deployments job. Maybe let's take that into the delivery Slack so we can coordinate around other things.
Sure.
Trevor, is there any help that you would like me to try to provide for you at this moment in time?
Maybe, I mean, if you have time, we can pair up again and see what happens now. I think like we're on a good path to get the Helm files branch merged for pre-prod. But if you don't have anything after this meeting, we can Zoom and work together.
Let's do it, man. Let's get it knocked out.
Andrew, you have the next one.
Yeah, this isn't really anything, but it just occurred to me that I don't know if you have discussed it as a team, but it never crossed my mind that a possibly good potential candidate for migration to Kubernetes is Prefect. And that is because it's a fairly straightforward service. It doesn't have any disk or anything like that. It has a database that's provisioned through Cloud SQL. And one of the other things that's quite nice about it is the traffic is pretty low at the moment. And, we could kind of get in while it's low and low risk and move it forward. But if you've discussed it, I don't know if it's been discussed, but I'd never really thought of Prefect as being a potential candidate, but it could be an interesting one.
It sounds like a stateless service, which matches our goal for this OKR.
Yeah.
I think it just hasn't been in scope because it's been a young implementation. Yeah. And as far as I know, it hasn't even fully been rolled out for GitLab.com as is. right? Like we still
No,
have
but
one small cluster and a
we
few
do,
Git
and it's
owners
very
behind it.
underutilized at the moment.
Yeah.
But it's something to consider, you know, like it's actually almost like in its favor, you know, to do it now before it's, you know, really difficult to do and really sort of treacherous. Yeah. But something to think about. I'm not trying to mess with your schedule or anything, just throwing it out there and letting it see where it lands.
Yeah, appreciate it. It definitely sounds like a good contender. Jarvis, some good questions there. Do you want to verbalize?
Yeah, I just don't know if we have chart support for it yet, so maybe we can get ahead of that. If there isn't, we should open up an issue to put it on their radar.
It looks like prefect is in the chart.
Oh, cool.
So maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, one of the things that's interesting from talking to people about it is that we have some customers that have got much bigger deployments of it at the moment than we do. So, and I don't know if some of those customers are running it from Kubernetes or not.
That is my main challenge with that service is how do we differentiate between what is a problem with the service itself, what is a problem with the environment it's running on, and what is the problem with the deployment itself? Yeah,
that is one of the things. What I was thinking is, you know, if you look at the services, the nice, clean, stateful services that have been running, like I think it's kind of akin to registry. It's sort of a similar, it's like a Go-based single container. And that's been running so well. And, you know, we sort of starting to become more comfortable. So that's not a full answer, but that sort of tends, I share your concerns, but that is sort of maybe like we're getting to the point where we can start working on those kind of things. Something to think about.
Yeah, another problem I have with this is that I still haven't perfected my recipe to clone jar and scarback.
Yeah.
That is the main issue. So it's kind of hard to fit that in.
Yeah.
But I have a long period over the holidays to get that done.
To experiment.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. All jokes aside, I would be very happy to consider it.
Yeah.
I have a couple of concerns, but maybe we could do both. As in, we don't have to choose, right? Like move the whole of Prefect, right, to production. Maybe we have some smaller, like a couple of pods that are going to be serving that traffic for a smaller project, and have both VMs and the cluster serving the traffic. If it's not too complicated.
As far as I understand, all of the state goes through the database. So technically you could probably do a half-half. You'd have to obviously check with people on that, but that's how I understand it.
That might be like a lower level effort. Maybe even start with just running it in staging side by side and just seeing how it goes.
Yeah, if the charts are there, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think your point, Jav, is also a good one. So timing wise, API, internal API next, and then we can start working out this one. Does that make sense, Phil?
Yeah, I think so. Like after WebSockets internal API, then maybe we make a decision then. Another option, of course, will be Pages when that lands, because they're busy on putting support in the charts for that. And that's another nice like stateless service that we can migrate. But yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I really, and that's the next point. I think I really like the idea of doing internal API by itself, which could mean that we define a new service that we don't have now called internal API. And I don't know, Andrew, like whether we want to catalog this under API and have it as a shard or something or what. But right now,
my initial gut, I haven't thought about it much, but I think so. But yeah, I mean, maybe there's reasons not to do that.
Okay. Currently, the internal API is used by Shell and by Gitlab. For Shell, it's I don't think Sidekick has an internal API configuration.
Okay.
Shell is running in the zonal cluster, and then it uses the service endpoint. So it talks directly to the service without going through Nginx. And what we're thinking is with like the new feature in charts that allows you to shard traffic, we can just define another service called internal API that will create the service in the chart. It will allow us to create like separate pods with their own, you know, HBA configuration, own labeling and everything. And then we can just use that service name as the internal API for Shell. For Gitlab, it's a little bit more complicated because we're coming from outside the cluster and we have to come in through something. So we would have to come through the Nginx ingress for that, but we could also use maybe Nginx routing to route, because I think all paths to the internal API are like something like /API/internal or something. I don't remember, but maybe we can use Nginx path routing for that.
I don't think you should make that a, like, I think there could be things in Gitlab where it just calls the API for, like it feels like a fragile, if you want.
Yeah.
We not have a totally separate IP and a.
Sure, but at least then in that case, it will just, I guess, I see. Yeah, so it would just default, it would then use the public API for any path that's not internal and
that might just be surprising to people, right? So they're like, the internal API is only being used for API private or whatever it is.
Yeah, and for Shell, I think the authorization check doesn't use a /internal path, but now I don't remember.
What about just if we did that route, surely external people that went to API internal would also get to the internal API.
But that's the case now, right? Like there's no, the only difference, internal and public API, the only difference is whether you enter through an internal IP address or public IP address, but the HA proxy layer is the same for both internal and external. So, and the requests are routed the same. There's no difference, except maybe that we bypass the rate limiting in HA proxy. But this is actually, what are we doing for rate limiting, application rate limiting that we're just about to turn on? Is there a whitelist for all internal IPs?
Well, it uses the same whitelist that we've got, the same allow list that we've got at the moment.
I see. So if we had it, okay. So if we had 10 dot whitelisted at HA proxy, we'll also add this header that will say like, don't rate limit this at the application.
It should be the same as at present.
See. Okay, we're going to have to think about how this is going to work for Gitlab.
What about if we just had like a second like ingress or like a load balancer that has no external access? You can only get to it from inside the V, because that's kind of like how I imagine an internal API to be, right? Is it something that only has internal access and it routes everything to, you know, directly to the API nodes. Maybe there's no HA proxy. It's just straight load balancer to API, and there's no rate limiting. There's no, you know, it's basically a pretty straightforward service.
Yeah,
but it's
I think
only
we can
internally accessible.
Yeah, so we can do that by setting an external IP for the internal service that uses an internal IP address. This is how we do it for registry, which means that we won't use the Nginx ingress at all for this service, and we'll just have an external IP that's an internal IP address, or this is confusing because of terminology, but basically, yes, we can do that. I think that would be the best way to go.
Yeah, and then we know that like even if you're requesting API internal from externally, you're actually going to the external API, and it's not path-based or anything like that.
Yeah.
Which is fine because we have no evidence that, or we don't know that external users, you know, they could flood our internal API or anything like that.
Yeah. Okay, well, these are some good things to think about.
Cool, thanks for bringing that up, Andrew. Is there anything we could do other than just thinking about it now? Like, is there anything we could get ahead of, like something along the lines of the chart support?
Well, I guess, yeah, I don't know. Maybe splitting out the internal API should be a second order thing. Maybe first order thing is that we just start migrating the entire API and then do internal API later, if we're really unsure about how it's going to look. So maybe I think that's the first decision we need to make.
If I could just throw in my opinion, I think I would rather just try to migrate things as they are today and then
Yeah.
work on this optimization later down the road.
Yeah, I mean, that's generally a less risky strategy than anything.
Yeah. Okay, I'm fine with that.
Cool. Okay, sounds good. Java, I'll let you put those thoughts into the epics we already have, and if you want to, if there's others we need to create as well, go for that. Cool.
Sounds good.
Is there anything else people want to discuss or demo today?
I do not have anything to demo.
I can give you an update on where we're at in observability for Kubernetes migrations.
Oh, perfect. Yes, please.
So we have the front end and storage components for Thanos. So basically the query layer and newly sharded backend storage for the Thanos components. That's been it's now up and running, and we're working on productionizing it, getting the readiness review, and that should be done, I'd say, mid-January. We're a little behind on getting Grafana and so dashboards GitLab Net and dashboards GitLab Com. That will also hopefully migrate in January. And then after those components are done, we have a few more bits of the Thanos stack to move over. There's some the rule service and the compaction service. That will hopefully all get cleaned up in January, and then we'll be done with that. And then the next plan is it's been mostly designed. It needs a lot more testing, but we're planning on moving the Prometheus monitoring component that monitors the Chef infrastructure out of Chef and into Kubernetes. So there will be Prometheus servers running in Kubernetes, monitoring the infrastructure in Chef. And then I don't know if we have a current plan for Sentry, but that's
when you say
is on the drawing board.
Ben, you mean Chef/VMs more broadly, or am I misunderstanding?
So monitoring Chef VMs from Kubernetes.
Yeah.
So
Patroni, like Philo one, Gitlab, all of those
Gitlab
things.
file servers,
okay.
Patroni servers, Redis servers. We'll actually move all of the Chef, all of the Prometheus servers that monitor those into Kubernetes in their respective environments. And part of that switchover depends on console. So what we'll be doing is right now, Prometheus discovers Chef components using Chef directly. So it executes a Chef search every 30 minutes, populates a bunch of files, and this causes a whole bunch of async problems for moving Chef stuff around. And we want to switch that to using console so that console controls the discovery, and that allows us to be much faster in terms of discovery.
I've got to run. Sorry, Jav. I just got one question, and then I'm going to quickly jump off. Are we going to move to console first and keep everything else the same, and then move to Kubernetes afterwards? Are we going to do the discovery? Okay, cool. I've got to run. I'm late for a meeting. Thanks.
What was the do you think that the console, because we've been running with this like janky Chef-based discovery for a while in VMs,
Yep.
shouldn't we just wait until we move to Kubernetes? Because if we are planning to move most of the front end in the next 2 quarters, is it worth the time to invest in console?
How long are we going to have Postgres running on Chef?
Forever. So but that's a very small number of VMs, right? Like,
correct.
Okay. I don't think I think it's also probably not a lot of work, right, to move to console. Like we already have everything there, so it's just a matter
there's already a Prometheus running in G stage that is doing some console discovery.
Mm-hmm.
So it is. I've already done all the proof of concept work. The thing that needs to happen is all of the monitorable endpoints need to register themselves in console so that Prometheus can do the discovery work. And that's actually all done. All of the standard like tier type stage labeling is already done. So that's already populated into console.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of, it's mostly a matter of doing the actual migration one service endpoint at a time. So Postgres exporter is now registered in console. Prometheus grabs that out of console and doing the flips. And I was planning on doing that after we finished moving Thanos out of Chef.
Cool. While I have you here, I'm very worried about cardinality for metrics as it pertains to pods. And I hear just like a lot of people having this problem with Prometheus and Kubernetes, where you include the pod as a label and you run into problems. How do we know, how can we be sure like we're going to be okay as we move the front end, and like where are we going to hit problems? Like how can we predict that?
So yeah, it's the real problem is the total metric load on Prometheus. Right now, the biggest thing that has actually helped has been moving to the zonal clusters.
Yeah.
So that we have Prometheus sharded per zonal cluster. The other thing that helps is moving to slightly heavier pods. So moving from the 1 core to the 4 core pods has helped quite a bit. The actual pod churn, so as we do deployments, that's not a big deal at all for us. We're not churning pods every 10 minutes. And actually the churn is actually, if you look at the Prometheus servers running in CI, those have tons of churn and it's just fine. It's
okay.
The latest, the most, in the last 9 months of Prometheus development, they've significantly iterated on the churn handling. So churn's not a concern, but total number of pods is a concern. And part of the reason that we're working on moving, we're planning on moving from Prometheus Helm chart to Tonka is that the Tonka code and using the operator code directly instead of using the Helm chart allows us to implement horizontal sharding. And so that is now supported in the Prometheus operator, and it'll be fairly easy. And what we'll be able to do is we'll be able to spin up, say, 10 Prometheus servers, each one monitoring 10% of the pods in a hash function distributed way.
I see. My concern
but what
is
about
that
queries?
Thanos will basically take care of Thanos understands how to distribute all that query load.
Okay.
And actually this will also improve query load because Thanos will fan out the data requests to each of the Prometheus shards. We could do other things where we can also look into doing vertical sharding, where we spin up a Prometheus that only watches API pods and one that only watches web pods. That is also probably going to require some amount of like operator Tonka programming in order to work.
What about like long-term queries? We're still storing long-term data on cloud storage. And
Yep.
if we have 9 million pods, how do we improve that though? Because I know
Well,
that's a
so
struggle today.
That's part of the reason that we're moving the Thanos components off of Chef and onto Kubernetes. We've already implemented horizontal sharding of Thanos storage. So the Thanos stores, there are now 10 pod pairs in gprod. Each one is serving 10% of the object storage.
Cool. Okay.
And so you can already try it out. Thanos.gitlab.net is the new query front end. It also now has memcache in the query side. So as you and it has time-based query chunking. So basically, if you query for say a year of data, it will break that up into per day queries. And so we're moving toward a much more horizontally scalable Thanos front end, and you can give that it's up and running, but we don't have any meta monitoring on it. So if you break it, I don't care. That'll be production ready in January.
Would you say the endpoint was?
Thanos.gitlab.net.
Yep.
Okay.
So for the short term, Ben, I think what we're looking at, because my concern is that we reduce the number of Puma workers from 4 to, or increase the number of Puma workers from 2 to 4 to like have the number of pods. We're probably going to be right back there in January, February when we bring on the API, because we're going to be looking at a 2x pod, 2 to 3x pod, increase.
Yep.
So I'm kind of interested to see whether like we're going to be able to absorb that in the short term.
Let's do some Prometheus capacity planning.
Okay.
If you want to have a call tomorrow, I'm around tomorrow. We can do that in the afternoon.
No, let's do it January. Unless Scarbeck wants to do it, because I'm out tomorrow for friends and family.
Family and Friends Day, yo! Family and Friends Day.
Oh yeah, I'm ignoring all of this because I'm on call tomorrow.
So your friends are your cats.
Yes, he's here. He's doing his thing,
and they're behaving. That's good.
Yes, he's currently not causing her to get growly and bitey.
Nice. Okay, great. Thanks, Ben. That was really helpful. Thanks.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Ben. That was great.
Later.
Cool. Take care. All right. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your years. And see you next year.
Cool.
Take care.